kill you?
Now, I feel that I have to settle this now regarding the CPU in the Wii U. Now, everyone is saying how it's weak. Everyone is saying how it's this and it's that. You got developers, you got asshole YouTubers simply because they don't know what they're talking about. Why I say this is that you got to look at the alternatives here. More graphics, higher graphics, however you put it, equals more money. Equals you gotta buy games that are gonna be over 80 bucks. That's what's just gonna happen. You're gonna get games close to $90, you're gonna get games close to $80, depending on the game. But since the majority of the games for the console will be $90, do you really want to spend that much money on a game console, including the games that you're gonna have to support the console with? Are you up for that? Anyways, I had to do some thinking. I had to do some serious thinking. I needed to do a video where I have to prove to you guys that Nintendo cannot use a CPU that is weaker than current gen. It can't be weaker because the GPGPU in the Wii U is doing majority or most of its work. Majority or most of its work. A GPU comes with a CPU built in the video card, which does half the work the CPU in the Wii U does. And that is the reason why developers don't want to work their ass off like they did last generation with the Xbox 360 and PS3, getting games to run properly. It's very unfortunate. You got developers complaining, then you got idiots on YouTube reporting the news, and you got some really strong YouTubers reporting the news, and they're getting all the views, fully forgetting that past developers that recently came out and said that the Wii U is stronger than current gen. They said that the CPU is strong, the console itself is strong, the system is more powerful. It's that easy. Developers has said so. But just because of this one Metro Last developer, all hell breaks loose. Really? Now I'm going to explain something to you. If you personally want graphics, if you want power, because the majority of you dumbasses out there play specs. You don't play games, you play specs. So, if you want to play games, buy a PC, because the only time you're going to be playing games with good graphics, with really good performance, is if you buy a gaming PC. I guess that's the only way you can play games. But when it comes to a console, you play specs, because all you do is complain about the specs and then you go out and buy the damn console anyways. So why complain? Now, I'm gonna do a little theory here and show you guys that you are making a giant commotion for no reason. And I really hope this video gets out there. That I want this video in particular to get the most views it possibly can, because everyone needs to see and understand this. Really, they really need to. Now, Intel, you see AMD. These are CPUs. Not real CPUs, but made for the video. One is running at 2.6 gigahertz, the other one is running at 3.2 gigahertz. One is a tri-core processor, the other one's a quad-core processor. Now, even though the AMD processor is running at 3.2, Intel is a better brand name. Intel is an overall better CPU, which means Intel will most likely run more efficiently and quicker than the AMD, or I should say over the AMD. That is how CPUs work. It all depends on the brand and how the system runs on the CPU. Intel is a different core, AMD is a different core. they all run differently. The binary code on the Intel is supposedly much more efficient than the AMD. You can say that AMD is like the cheaper version of a CPU. That's why Intel is more expensive, right? Okay, you got the Wii U now. People be complaining about the price that is $350 since pretty much the white ones are relevant now, but most people who don't got the money would pick that one up. Now, if the console was so expensive, right, which it kind of is in this day and age, it's 2012 now, you don't expect consoles to be this expensive, but hey, if the Wii U is going to be $350, imagine what the next PlayStation and Xbox will be, but that's besides the point. Imagine they went with an 3.2 processor in an Intel, for example, instead of using an IBM CPU, which is what's in the console, I believe. Imagine they went with an Intel. Imagine they went with that Intel at 3.2. Do you understand how expensive the console will be? It would be at least the price of the PlayStation 3 as it was 6 years ago. $599 or even more because of the gamepad. Intel is the only CPU that can be clocked at 8 GHz. But it cannot hold itself because it will melt. So you gotta run it under this type of chemical, which is a coolant type of chemical, which will cool it down while it runs at that clock speed. But there is no way you can run that internally in a PC, in a bare box. You just cannot do it. But that's also besides the point. I'm just trying to explain to you that this here is an overall stronger CPU than the AMD. So my point is that I'm trying to make here, just because the clock speed in the Wii U is lower does not mean that it's going to be weaker. Just because you see a number does not necessarily mean, oh, the CPU in the Wii U is weaker. Oh my gosh, that's not what it means. It's just how it's clocked. Brand name takes overall. And Intel, a 2.6 tri-core, is more powerful than an AMD 3.2 at quad. Because it's an Intel. If you want to search that up, you can, but I've seen many Intels clocked at this speed and this many cores that run faster than an AMD quad core. You can look it up if you like, if you don't believe me. So, hopefully you understood that explanation regarding the Intel and the AMD, and I use those two processors because those are pretty much the only processors you can buy for your PC. If there's any other brands, let me know in the comment section that I don't know of. Now, it's funny how nobody comes out and, puts down the GPGPU in the Wii U. You see, that last article and that last video or whatever, I don't know if it was a video, but it was an article, people made videos about it, but they were stripping out the Wii U. On day one, they broke out the Wii U, they stripped it down, they took out the hardware. They must have seen the GPGPU. They must have seen that. But instead, you know what? Let's talk about the RAM. The RAM speed, hey, it is lower than the Xbox 360, so might as well slap that on the article, downplay it. Oh no, the RAM is at 800 gigahertz or megahertz or whatever the hell it is. Like I said, I play games, not specs. So, the CPU apparently is clocked lower than the Xbox 360, and I'm only using 360 because that's the developer's console of choice. See what I mean? Anyways, they slapped that on the article and they talk trash about that. Oh, the Wii U CPU is lower than the Xbox 360. Where's the GPU? Where's the GPGPU? Why aren't you talking about that? Oh, because it's more powerful than the Xbox current gen hardware? So I didn't decide to add that to the article now, did I? Whoops, I missed it. So, the GPGPU was not added, because apparently it's obviously better than current gen, so they didn't slap that on the article now, did they? Exposed. Now, about the GPGPU, okay? That is a second alternative for the CPU. It helps the CPU. It does probably majority of its coding. Now, you got CPUs being built into graphics cards. You see, the GPGPU, it runs the graphics and it runs everything else like a CPU, right? The PS3 and the Xbox 360, their processors had to be so powerful because it calculates most of the work. It does sound, it does some of the graphics, it does everything else. And that's why they were both clocked at 3.2 and they were so powerful at the time. Okay? This GPGPU is supposed to help the CPU, so you can call it double standard. The CPU does one thing and the GPGPU does the rest. It's that simple. Like I said before, if you want to play games just for the graphics, and if you want to just game on something so very powerful, then buy a PC. If you're gonna complain about the money, that's where you exposed yourself. Yeah, PC does take a lot of money to build, a really good one. But guess what? If the next PlayStation and Xbox is as clocked and as powerful as what current gen PC, then you're gonna be spending the same amount or even more. Console video games are more expensive to pay for and support than a PC game. PC games are always $10 less or even $20 less than actual console games. Exposed. That's how it is. So like I said, I have a solution. For those of you guys who are talking about the Wii U specs, buy a PC, don't buy the Wii U. Because trust me, Nintendo fans do not want your dumbass on Nintendo Network. We don't want you to get a Wii U. We don't need you on. We don't need you to ruin the community. We don't. Only people who understand what is really going on and understands that the internet isn't the place to go for information nowadays. You can buy the console, you can support the console, you can be online with the rest of the community. We don't need idiots and trolls on our system.